Hey, what's going on, guys? We are live here in our network. We're also live on YouTube. Going to give everybody just a moment here to hop on the call. We're going to be talking about one thing that will keep you from your potential or keep you from the success that you're after. This is, I think, one thing that we oftentimes all face. And for the most part, this is something that many of us don't even recognize is slowing us down. And so excited to dive into that a little bit. I do want to give a couple reminders for folks here in our network. Shane, good to see you, buddy. Lawrence, welcome to the call. Let me just hit on some really quick things before we dive into the content piece. Just some reminders here. Let's see, we have a few events coming up. We have our SRU live group coaching call coming up. I think this is next week, March 4th. And guys, for those of you who aren't in our university program, this is a really cool opportunity to connect with our leader and host of the university, Mr. Shane Chapin. He jumps on a live group call twice a month within the university private forum and just takes your questions. So you can literally, you don't have to get on camera or anything like that. You drop them in the chat just like you can do on this call. And Shane will guide you and answer any questions that you have, no matter where you are on your journey, right? So like we've had people who closing on deals, who are looking for their first deal, who are trying to go under contract. Maybe they're just trying to make an offer and they're not really sure where they should go with their offer. It's a great opportunity to jump on a support call twice a month. So no matter where you are, you could get direct support and move a lot faster. And this program is incredibly affordable. I'll say this is probably based off of what I've seen, the best, one of the best training and support groups in the country at the most affordable cost that you'll likely find. I know the other programs that are out there and they're thousands of dollars and they do not show up and support you the way that this group does. And so it's a great opportunity. I think it's $197 a month. No contracts, no commitments, stay as long as you'd like. Other than the group coaching calls where you get direct support, there's also a training call. So you'll get to hear from industry professionals. You'll get to dive deeper into specific storage, nuts and bolts, different topics to help you further your education and move a lot faster. So technically 3 live calls you could jump on every month. Plus you'll get all of our resources, our documents, our contracts, purchase and sales agreement, our deal valuation spreadsheets. You'll get access to our resources. And then there's a really cool training course that walks you through each step of the investing process. So this is something that is designed to help give you more clarity and a better foundation for success so you can move a lot faster. And then it's there for your reference so you can always lean back into that because, you know, you might get a little bit along in your journey and you might be thinking, well, I forgot how to do this in my due diligence, or I forgot how to resolve this, or how to handle maybe a certain thing during your closing process. You can lean back into that training and utilize the group for that direct support. So Shane, love everything that you're doing with that group, brother. Incredibly valuable. I love to attend them as well, just because it's great conversation and everybody's at a different point in their journey. And so somebody might be facing something that you haven't yet gotten to, and so you get to learn from them as well. And so that's a cool opportunity. We also have our Storage Rebellion Insiders event coming up April 8th through the 10th. We're going to be in Savannah. And so for our insider members, if you have not yet RSVP, it looks like a majority have, but go ahead and check that RSVP just so we can keep track of it. This is going to be a great event. We have some really exciting outside speakers coming in. For those of you who don't know about the Insiders, this is a private mastermind community. We get together twice a year, which is where a lot of the value is. We have a 3-day event. We bring in guest speakers. There's a ton of group activities and networking and like masterminding going on, and people are working through specific issues that they're working on, and tons of partnerships are happening within the group. So we've actually, what's exciting about the Insiders coming up is we have some big changes coming to that group, which are going to be for the better. And so those will be happening very soon. So I'm excited for those to take place, but that event is coming up in April. those are just some quick reminders. With all of that said, I want to dive into the content that I had planned for today. And this call is going to be relatively short this Friday. And I appreciate you guys jumping on. What we can do, so we're going to talk about some mindset stuff today. And one of the things that I believe holds a majority of us back, and oftentimes we don't even recognize that this is holding us back. So I thought it would be helpful to like identify this and speak a little bit more about it and hopefully give you guys some clarity around it. But if we do have time at the end, I'm happy to take some questions around this particular topic. If there are things in your life or in your business that you're currently working on, whether it's limiting beliefs, self-doubt, maybe you're just not sure how to overcome some obstacles, whether they're internal or external, maybe think about those. And as we get to the end, drop them in the chat. And if we have some time, I'll answer them. If we don't, or if there's no questions, that's okay too. But let's dive into some of the content. So the thing that I wanted to talk about today is one thing that I believe holds a majority of us back and gets in the way of our success and allowing us to really navigate our success. And that is, it's discomfort. And so you guys have probably heard me say this quote. I don't remember whose quote this is. It's not mine, but I really like it. There's a ton of truth behind it. And it says, the magic you're looking for is in the work that you're avoiding. And oftentimes the thing we're avoiding are the things that are uncomfortable. And I've recognized in my own life that anytime I've been faced with something that was uncomfortable, there was a lot of discomfort around it, the biggest blessings and opportunities and experiences and education came from those experiences. However, that will only happen depending on how we decide to approach discomfort. So discomfort comes from a piece of our brain. Well, let me say this instead. We react oftentimes to discomfort in a negative way. And the reason for that is our limbic system, which is essentially designed for that fight or flight state of mind. So anytime we're feeling uncomfortable or we're afraid of something, that part of our brain activates and it tells us to like back off. We retreat, we get away. And oftentimes we're kind of pushing ourselves out of opportunities because there's this discomfort around it. And so there might be things in your own life. I'm speaking to myself as much as I'm speaking to you guys today, because there's things in my life that I need to, that I need to address as well, because there's some discomfort around it. But there's probably things in your life right now, maybe in your storage business, maybe in your personal life, your relationships, your faith, your health, whatever it might be. There's something, and you probably know what it is, and there's some discomfort around it, and you're avoiding it. And the funny thing is, like, if we use storage for an example, we are so good at avoiding discomfort that we will work twice as hard in something else just to avoid putting ourselves in that uncomfortable position. So like there might be something in your storage business, maybe it's cold calling, that makes you uncomfortable. And so you're avoiding that right now. And you're working twice as hard in other areas to make up for that avoidance, right? And so we're really good at working really hard at something else just to avoid stepping into something that's uncomfortable. And, maybe little do you know, you're just a few cold calls away from a life-changing deal. I think discomfort is oftentimes a sign from God that it's to get our awareness. It's to put us in a position to recognize and explore why we feel discomfort around a specific thing. We never experience growth when we're comfortable. There's no growth that happens when you're comfortable. Because when you're comfortable, you're just kind of doing things the way you do them. It isn't until we get uncomfortable that we start to figure out, how do we fix this? How do we resolve this? How do I get on the other side of this discomfort? It puts us in a position to learn and grow. And if it puts us in a position to learn and grow, then we need to lean into it rather than avoid it. And I know this can be really hard sometimes. And so I also want to relate this to storage, because you guys have probably heard me share a little bit in my early days. I believe I'll use an example. So 5 years ago, call it, I think, there was a deal that I had under contract that I almost avoided because I had never owned real estate or storage, and I just didn't know what I didn't know. and I was afraid to step into ownership. And so that fight or flight state of mind came into play, and it was just like, well, just retreat. Like, this is uncomfortable, get away, just go wholesale this thing, make some quick cash, and then you don't have to worry about it. Had I done that, I wouldn't have really learned anything, and eventually that 40 grand I would have made on a wholesale fee would have ran out. And then where does that leave me? So leaning into the uncomfortable, leaning into the discomfort of what I didn't know, is where the growth, the experience, and a lot more money was made, because I had leaned into stepping into ownership for the first time. But this is where some people get stuck, particularly with storage, and I'm sure maybe some other things in life. But people might say, well, more so newer investors, I would imagine, might look at storage if they've never owned a property and say, well, I'm just afraid to step into ownership, right? I know people love to wholesale because it's the easier thing, or it feels like the easier thing, and I don't believe that it is. But they'll lean into that because they're afraid to step into ownership and build real equity and real wealth. And so they avoid it, and they tell themselves, well, I don't know what I don't know. I've never owned storage. I've never owned real estate. Like, what if I miscalculated? What if I'm wrong? What do I stand to lose? These are all things that I experienced as well. These are all limiting beliefs and thoughts that I experienced. And you might say, Chris, I'm uncomfortable to step into ownership, or I'm uncomfortable around this part of my business. And that's fair to say, because if I step into it and if I'm wrong, this is what I stand to lose. So I'm not just avoiding it because I'm afraid. I stand to lose something. That can be the case. But oftentimes when we're operating out of that fear state of mind, we struggle to look at things from a logical perspective. And so although there are things that are uncomfortable for you, there's also creative ways to step into discomfort and eliminate risk along the way. For an example, with this particular deal I'm referring to, I leaned into somebody who had more experience than me, who could fund the deal. So I had nothing to lose. I didn't risk anything other than my time. And I got to lean onto them for every step of the process. So they risked everything by putting their money into it. They're also risking their time because they're coaching me through the process. So that's a really great position for me to be in, and for other people who want to lean into partnerships for newer investors, because it puts you in a position to learn a whole lot, and the person that you're working with is not going to let you fail, because they do not want to lose or risk their money or their time. So it puts you in a really good position to do well. And so, like with this deal that I ended up going into, had I wholesaled it, I probably would have made 40 grand or so. And I think over the course of 2 years, that particular deal paid me around $200,000-ish. And so not only did I make more money by leaning into something that was uncomfortable, but then utilizing resources to help relieve that discomfort and also put me in a position where I had less to risk and less to lose, allowed me to make more money, and it allowed me to gain an education and an experience that had a much greater ROI and was going to serve me for many, many, many more years to come. And so if you're in a position right now where you're in your life and there's something that's uncomfortable, you're experiencing some discomfort, my encouragement is to recognize that, and to recognize that there is likely something very valuable on the other side of that. And we get really good at just leaning into our emotions and avoiding discomfort rather than sitting with it and exploring it. And my encouragement is to sit with it when you recognize that there's discomfort around something in your life right now, whether it's doing cold calls, sending out letters, making offers, maybe it's personal stuff, relationships, health, whatever it is. If there is something that's making you uncomfortable, first recognize, hey, there's some discomfort here, and then explore it. And so if you can take time to sit with it and ask yourself, this is interesting. Why do I feel uncomfortable around this? Where is this coming from? And whatever answer you come up with, follow it up with another question. And as you keep doing that and you keep peeling back those layers, you essentially get to the core. And what you'll oftentimes find is that the fear or the thing that's holding you back is oftentimes maybe just this limiting belief that wasn't necessarily, maybe it came from somebody else that ingrained that into you. Maybe it was a past failure from years and years ago in your life that's affecting you today, and you didn't even recognize that or realize that. But when you can uncover it and be like, whoa, here's actually where this is coming from, you might actually then remove the discomfort altogether because you realize you just didn't have anything to worry about. Or it might give you a lot more clarity and direction on how to resolve that discomfort. It will tell you what direction you need to go in because you now understand where it's coming from, and you can figure out how to resolve it. So my encouragement again to you guys, if there's something in your life you feel is some discomfort around, just recognize that there is so much more growth that will happen if you lean into that. We do not grow, we do not generate wealth, we do not create financial freedom and the ultimate lifestyle by sitting around in comfort. You're gonna have to get uncomfortable. And the more you lean into discomfort, it starts to become more comfortable, and in which case you can move a lot faster. Matthew, I made it. I saw your comment on the post, buddy, and I know you you were hoping to maybe catch the recording. Glad you're here. Thanks for tuning in. Unfortunately, we are on the tail end of the call. However, there will be a recording to this available afterwards. But again, guys, I appreciate you being here, and I just want to encourage you guys, if there's something you're avoiding, lean into that, figure out where it's coming from, and recognize that there's a ton of growth that will happen if you figure out how to step into that and overcome that discomfort. And so hopefully that's helpful for you guys today. This is something, there's things in my life that I recognize I'm avoiding. And so I'm recognizing that I'm avoiding them, and now I need to lean into those. And I also recognize there's things in my life that were very uncomfortable. There's been financial stress that I've been in the past. And when I observe those and look back into them, I recognize, like, had I not experienced that, had I not gone through those difficulties and that discomfort and pain, would have never learned what I ended up learning. I never would have been prepared to receive the blessing on the other side of that. And sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, I think God puts this discomfort so it stirs something up within us so that we can recognize, oh, there's something here that I need to explore. And the more you start leaning into that, I promise you guys, nothing but fantastic things will happen, and many positive changes will happen in your life. So hopefully that's helpful for you guys. If you guys want to connect with me, feel free to reach out to me in the network. I'm always here to connect and chat. Appreciate you guys being here. Hopefully you have a great weekend, and we'll connect again soon. Happy Friday, everybody.